Take your seats. I failed at the first hurdle, which is keeping my microphone actually on my belt. So welcome everybody to this session on monetizing industrial data. I will momentarily be with you once I put that back on. If you're anything like me, you will... There we go. If you're anything like me, you will have heard some fairly banal statements over the years about things to do with new technology. Well, one of my favourites is people don't buy technology, they buy products. Well, that's pretty self-evident, and anybody who tells you that and then sits back as if they're an expert on something, well, you might maybe want to ask a few questions. But another one that gets asked quite a lot, or mentioned quite a lot, is the idea that the value of the Internet of Things is in the data. Well, of course the value of the Internet of Things is in the data. The value of the Internet of Things is not complicating your product, adding in additional cost into the production of that product, just in order that you can put a Bluetooth stamp or something equivalent on the side of it. So clearly we're in an environment where the value of IoT is in the data. It's just a means to an end of collecting that industrial data, which is what we're talking about in this session today. Up until now, largely that data has been used for single applications, stovepipe types of things. But really the true value comes when we can share the data, make it available to third parties, integrate it with other data sources. And that's the topic of the conversation for today. The concept of data hubs, data exchanges, data clearing houses. And over the last few years I've been looking at this topic in quite some detail. How do you make available, or how do you put in place the capabilities to share data, have a central repository that allows for multiple tenants, multiple providers of data to make it available to third parties, generate some revenue from it, and basically push forward that proper Internet of Things that breaks out of those stovepipes. And there's a number of functions within that ecosystem. It's about billing, it's about rating, it's about the data exchange, the facilitation of the sharing of all of that data. On the panel with me, I have three organisations who I think are at the cutting edge of that data hub. Well, we'll talk about the terminology a little bit in the course of the panel, but for want of a better term, I'll refer to it as data hub, doing some fantastic things in this space. They'll have a few minutes opportunity to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into a moderated panel session. I should introduce myself. I should have done that from the get-go, really. My name's Matt Hatton. I am currently what we termed an independent, but I founded a company called Machine Research in 2011 that we sold to Gartner in 2016. So I have been an analyst in this space for quite a number of years. And worth noting, this is comfortably the most exciting thing in IoT at the moment, as far as I'm concerned. So, gentlemen, I will start on my immediate left. Jim, your opportunity to stand up and say a few words about Cordons. Yes, please. So if you can cue the slides on for Cordons Interdigital.
Hi, so I'm Jim Nolan. I'm founder and board member of Cordon. Cordon is legacy of a number of different things that have rolled together to create a business that's focused on transport and smart cities. And one of the unique features that it has is a data marketplace. So with that, I'll move on to what it is. We can cover more of this in some of the dialogue. So the One Transport Data Marketplace is effectively a vehicle to share information from both legacy and new systems tied into smart cities and intelligent transport. What does it do? As a full IoT platform, it basically can collect data from multiple different legacy IoT data sources, and these can be wired or wireless, they can be new data sources, and provides them into what I'll call a data lake, and I know we'll go through some definitions a little bit, and it provides that data. There are those that are providers of that data, and then there are consumers of that data. And there are multiple elements in providers and consumers, because there's raw data, there's curated data, there's all sorts of different formats of the data, and then how people consume that data is different. So what are some of the elements of the marketplace? Well, there's a data licensing framework. This is an open licensing framework that allows the owners of the data to control access to that data and make it easy for others to subscribe to that data to build additional applications and services. Data charging framework, there are mechanisms to charge per unit of data or per time, multiple different ways to charge a bill for data. And then there's also historical and real-time data. The importance of that is it's not just important, especially from a transport standpoint, what data I have today in real time, but historically what happened this date last year, the year before that. What if I want to be able to do analytics and learning on that? It's very important that I know that. And what's also important here is the more data that you can provide to transport, the more intelligent the applications and systems can be. So there's a great deal of public data that you can use. So we built this original as a prototype in 2014, off of a platform we had built as far back as 2011, 2012, working with Innovate UK. We had a number of years to mature the system, and then we basically went commercial with this in 2017 as the One Transport Data Marketplace system. Now, just a couple of examples. So we actually integrated multiple data sets for all sorts of smart city data, transportation, trains, buses, in-road sensors, scoop loops, you name it. All different diverse data types, all different formats, integrated into a single platform, normalized the data into a standards-based format and made it available from a single API. And you can build additional application frameworks on top of this and use other APIs. So some of the examples of this, where you're crossing county boundaries and you want data from, say, Highways England for the highways and then multiple county, is Silverstone Raceway, where you have the convergence of 2 to 3 counties, you have local roads, you have major highways, and you have roughly 250,000 people coming into a semi-rural area for an event. So we started out with legacy data, then we did real-time data to help them manage the traffic flow real-time, and then we started to add other different IoT-based devices that can measure different experiences. You know, this goes to food and other things in terms of how the facility is used. Hertfordshire is one of the counties that we work with, and for them, their issue was congestion management on a daily basis, but in particular for football matches where they would have a large amount of traffic coming in and out of town. Last one here, and there's a whole long list of different ones, but this is one that we're working on that's more future-oriented, is connected autonomous vehicle project, and this includes working with Bosch, Jaguar Land Rover, AE, and Rix, and transport for the West Midlands. So this is really focused on not only centralize the data in a lake, but how do you basically get data from local sensors in the cars themselves and be able to process that on the edge. So from this perspective, the challenge is to be able to bring all that together. Now, for One Transport, we are the platform provider and the service provider. In this case, we'll provide the platform, but Bosch will be the service provider for the data, under the same kind of framework that we talked to, but they'll modify that based on the businesses and use case and verticals they want to build from that. Thank you.
Ingo.
Yes. So, my name is Ingo Hofacker, working for T-Systems, but being responsible for the IoT platform of Deutsche Telekom at group level. Happy to give you a bit of an overview on what we are currently doing before we go into the product, the data intelligence hub that you already mentioned. I'd like to share a bit of experience. We started out almost 2 years ago with crafting an IoT strategy for the group. And it turned out quite easily that talking about technology, talking about the networks, which we as operators always tend to do, as you can imagine, doesn't really get us very far. We figured out early on you have to have a business discussion with the client. Unlike in the past where we used to talk to CEOs of large companies, so you talk to the lines of business in the first place. And for us, an IoT project always starts, even so it will be standardized to the largest extent, it always starts with business discussions. So asking the CXO, what are your top 3 priorities? And you can assume as today, most of them can be healed by providing some sort of data or gathering data out of the ecosystem. Now, and this is basically where it all starts. So having that discussion, business value, identifying what are the data requirements, and then going through the stack, not as we usually do as an operator from the northern part of the stack, but rather from the southern part, where you look at, okay, what is the data, what are the insights that you want to generate out of this data, and then start the question, so what kind of platform do I need to use, what kind of connectivity do I need to have, and what kind of devices underneath do I need to have in order to get that data in a way that it can be used by the clients. And afterwards you do that sort of, once you've done that with the building blocks that we have in place, you have this integration. But for us it became pretty obvious after the first few discussions that we have with our major clients, you start asking questions for data, and this is where you end up. Now, what you also see here on this slide is like the layered approach that we've followed as Deutsche Telekom. We're actually covering 3 layers with dedicated platforms. We have, for sure, as most operators do, a machine-to-machine connectivity platform. This is our own, we build it our own. It's basically doing everything related to machine-to-machine connectivity. Then on top of that, we have a managed IoT platform, actually 2 of them. One is based on Microsoft Azure IoT Hub, the other is based on Cumulocity, a company that got acquired last year or the year before by Software AG. And on top, so these are 2 platforms, highly standardized platforms, so you can take the building blocks and then be very fast to an IoT-related solution. It takes us between 1 and 3 weeks to have a prototype and hand it over to the client. And on top of that, and this is what I'm going to talk about now, we have another platform, the 3rd platform, which we only launched last September in 2018. It is called the Data Intelligence Hub. And this is a platform that enables the exchange, as of this year, also selling data and applying tools, more than 50 tools already as of today, based on that data. Now, you have to bear in mind the data that this tool is able to deal with, this platform, the Data Intelligence Hub is able to deal with, does not only comprise data from IoT sensor networks, but also data from CRM systems, external data, whatever you want. Now, it basically has 3 components, this model, and what it does, it instantiates the first implementation of something which is called the International Data Space. It used to be called, a year ago, the Industrial Data Space, but as the scope of the data being considered here goes now way beyond what is normally associated with industrial, they decided, and as they're going international, they decided to call it International Data Space. It's based on the reference architecture that has been developed by Fraunhofer. That's a large association of research entities in Germany. You probably know them. And we took their reference architecture, complied to their standards, and we launched that Data Intelligence Hub, which is compliant with the IDS architecture. Now, what do we have out there in the market? And by the way, you can test it any time. It's for free as of now. You just Google DIH and Telecom, and then you have it. Get your free account. Now, what we can do as of now is basically you can get data out of it. Like, for instance, we have part of what we call motion logic data. That's another company that we have that basically gathers the data in an anonymized way of our clients in the field, the consumers that we have. So you can track who's coming from what direction in terms of getting traffic flows coming from, I don't know, suburbs to center city and so on and so forth. At a very granular level. Pretty interesting to retailers, to developers and the like. You can get data. Actually, as of now, we have 95,000 data sets in there. A lot of the stuff that's publicly available, we structured it in order to enhance the use cases. We have one commercial offer in place already. It's weather.com data that we can ingest here. So this is the data part of it. The second thing is like a workbench of analytical tools, where you basically have all the stuff that your data analysts are looking for. Not only they download the stuff and deploy it on their machines or in the cloud from GitHub and the like. Here it's all been pre-manufactured, pre-prepared, and they can immediately delve into starting doing the analytics stuff, which comes on top of it, leading to the analytical insights based on the tool that you have. And you probably know all of them. It's like RStudio, it's TensorFlow, and like it's all been implemented in here. What we actually plan to do going forward, and plan to do means we have that on our roadmap for this year, is basically the ability to sell the data that you have. So if you generate data as a car manufacturer, one of our partners here is BMW. They generate data from the windshields swiper. They say it's not a critical data item. We would like to sell it because their company is so interested. You can even weather forecast based on it in real time. Now, this kind of information can be sold in various business models, which we launch, and probably it will be like a per data set item, which we start this year. And then you can monetize the stuff. This will be part of the standard products of our IoT platform that I just touched upon. So every one of our clients is able to sell their data, and they select upfront who should see it and who shouldn't see it. So this is like an additional value add that we give to the client, and it comes really at just clicking a checkbox. It is, and this is important in a way that each owner of the data keeps the data sovereignty. This is part of the model of the IDS, so you do not give it away. It's not that one of the competitors can simply download it. You can first of all say, okay, it's not meant to be seen by my competitors. Secondly, and even if I only share it with non-competitive institutions, I'm still able to make sure that I can revoke the data at any given point in time according to the license agreements that we automatically sign. So it's been taken on, and maybe we can discuss it later, by various industries quite swiftly right now in the public area as well as in the retail area in order to share that data accordingly. This is meant to be an open system. Will comply to the standards, and whoever wants to contribute on that one, be it a data analytics company or one of the other partners, will be using it. And this is the very thing that struck me most. I've been responsible in various functions for innovations in Deutsche Telekom throughout the last 7 years, and it's the first time ever that I see the other departments, the other units, the other NATCOs that we have really taking on this even before launch. So we're using that internally, as you probably know if you're working for an operator. The stuff that you do yourself is normally the least thing that your colleagues want to launch in the first place. So it is different. Now, this being said, I assume I hand over.
Absolutely. Perfect. And if the sales guys are on board, then it's obvious you're doing something right. David, if I can hand over to you to give your brief introduction.
Sure. Hi there. Terbine is a company you probably haven't heard of yet. We're a relatively young venture that started in Silicon Valley. We recently moved the headquarters to a place with actual silicon, which is Nevada. And Terbine is a next generation company. We started off thinking about what was going to happen with all the data being generated by machines in such abundance that humans couldn't really handle it anymore. And what about the world we're moving into where machines are actually the consumers of the data and not humans anymore? And we look back at things like how did the financial industry start to monetize its data, not the financial part, but actually monetizing financial data. So in the early days, all the big financial houses, your big names, started their own data marketplaces. But very quickly it became obvious that people like hedge fund managers didn't want to individually have accounts with all of those things. And that's what caused the rise of Bloomberg and Thomson Reuters. In particular, Bloomberg to kind of congeal all that into a common framework. And of course, they have about 4 million people using Bloomberg and lots of big trading systems. So we thought that was a very good model. We also looked at how Amazon went from taking a world with tens of thousands of individual e-commerce marketplaces, individual e-commerce sites, and eventually started to bring it all under one massive umbrella. And including how did they actually accomplish that? It was quite a thing. Based on those and some other interesting constructs we found out there, we started to build Terbine, which will essentially be an overarching system that can take data in and out of individual IoT platforms, data marketplaces of any kind in any industry, and things that we haven't even thought of yet. The whole system is completely designed in a world where AI will be asking the questions and making the decisions. So we kind of threw out the old human-based staring at a screen paradigm, people doing individual analytics, and started to talk about real speed, real power, how do you enable all of that. We just, here at the MWC announced that our system is now available to create what we call data trading alliances, which is a whole new term and a whole new concept that we want to talk about a little bit. We literally announced that here at the show. And I thought I'd show you a 2-minute video that explains our concept.
The world is changing and data is now generated by everything around us. Sensors are being added to the machines, objects, and systems of our physical world, often called the Internet of Things. Sensor data is being produced at a rate that will eventually exceed what human beings have created since the Internet was started.
The amount of information is staggering, yet most businesses use it for only a moment and then discard it, or back it up into silos that are inaccessible to the bigger world. But there are huge opportunities in this data waiting to be discovered. Meet Terbine. Terbine is the first global marketplace for physical world data. Everything from the power output of solar farms to tracking drones and airplanes in the sky, sensor inputs of virtually any type at every altitude, even in space. Terbine is a true marketplace, gathering data from suppliers, curating it, and making it easily and rapidly searchable by machines, processes, and people. Its rules and filtering engine is designed specifically for turning physical world data into actionable information, taking into account factors such as ownership rights, legal, regulatory, regional, and competitive issues. It's not for storing people's personal information or pictures, just sensor data. Any organization can place data into the marketplace where it gets cleaned, graded, indexed, and then priced dynamically. Suppliers can be paid when their data is purchased. For buyers, Terbine does the heavy lifting of finding data sources and forming the trading relationships needed to reliably obtain the data. Buyers can bring the data directly into any end system, ranging from big data analyzers to moving vehicles. The applications are almost endless. Imagine a power utility having complete end-to-end visibility on every element across the grid, from home generation and storage to renewable energy providers. Imagine knowing what's happening with the soil throughout a farming region, or all the regions. Imagine City Street talking to self-piloted vehicles, giving them an enhanced understanding of the neighborhoods that they're traveling through. All of this is being enabled by Terbine. Prior waves of information experience have allowed us to take the pulse of humanity. Terbine will let us take the pulse of the Earth.
All right.
Okay. Thank you for that introduction, gentlemen. Gives us a good starting point for getting into the conversation. Now, David, I'm going to come to you first because you've thrown yet another term into the mix. So you get the first question on definitions and terminology. I use the term data hubs. There's also data clearing houses, data exchanges. We can kind of throw data lakes in there as part of the puzzle. You're now talking about data trading alliances. How do you see these things as being different? What kind of roles can we see? Because this is a new area, and we're all just trying to get our arms around it and understand what it is that we're talking about. So you give a little bit of clarity on how you see the space?
Absolutely. So first of all, before I get to the data trading alliance definition, we have seen the terms data exchange and data marketplace used fairly interchangeably. I would say that probably the hallmark of a marketplace is that there's probably money involved.
Yeah.
And then a data exchange might involve, say, a bunch of public agencies and maybe some other entities that have money flowing. Having said that, a data exchange can provide monetization theoretically in that definition. Data lake is a place you put data and take data out. It doesn't really smack of having any intelligence to it. So I would say generally a data lake is something that is sort of almost like a base layer, and then the marketplaces and exchanges live above that. So the idea of a data trading alliance is that when we kind of look at the real world and where things are going, we realize that it's not enough to have these individual sort of siloed environments, and that somehow it had to be possible to layer on top of that the ability to interconnect them, if you will, not just technologically and data transfer-wise, but also from a business standpoint, and do instantaneous conveyance of legal rights, instantaneous pricing, things that happen in commodities exchanges and in phone networks when you reconcile calls. But it's kind of new to machine-generated data. And eventually, we'll have these at very high levels of automation and processing power. They will be living in edge computing servers on cell phone towers as 5G takes hold. And it will be possible, I'll give you a very quick example. Let's say there's a disaster somewhere, like a hurricane in Florida, for example, and all the cars that were throwing off data that was being vended to various users, like insurers and hedge funds and people like that, and traffic management. In that crisis, it would be very valuable to just create a data trading alliance so that all the actors can share their data. And you turn the money off and just say, I need to give information to the local responders, to the federal government, maybe to the insurance carriers who have to deal with the scope of the crisis. And that just happens and flows, but when the crisis is over, it literally is deconstructed and goes back to regular business. You can have these that are interlaced, overlaid, they can be horizontal or vertically constructed. The first one that we've created, by the way, is with the Intelligent Transportation Society of America, ITSA. We've created a sort of a special version of Terbine for them so that their 300-something members can actually exchange data. It includes public agencies, car companies, people making electrical charging stations and things like that.
Yeah, if I could offer a distinction of clarity, I agree if you basically say data marketplace and exchange is public to public and broker is private to public or private to private. So we agree it's the same mechanism, it's just whether it's built or not and how the data is handled. But I think when you mention a data hub or a lake, what's different there is an architectural decision. Is that the lake has to be something that is cloud, microservice architectures, high availability, scalable to do that. And the reason I bring up that distinction is because other architectures can aggregate data from websites, from all different sources. And the system that's the lake cloud-based is built so that it can handle that infinite scalability. It scales up virtual machines from a cloud perspective. Whereas if you build an exchange from a different architecture where you build off of individual sources, websites, whatever, they're not necessarily built to handle that volume or scalability. So you there's some of these that are interchangeable, but some are very, very relevant in terms of what kind of architecture you're talking about as you're building a data exchange, marketplace, broker, data hub, whatever we call it.
You agree with that, Ingo? I mean, you picked hub as your as the name.
Well, it was more meant to be like a very general term because what we do like this data exchange, we have like one large retail organization that's basically sharing data with their suppliers or in order to get like basket information on their clients, and it's basically more like sharing on a regular basis. So it's not like a marketplace where you have like different transactions with different constituencies all the time. So it's more like having this exchange and funneling the information through. The marketplace is more like where you put a price tag to it, and you can not only on the data but also on the models. So the basic idea is that you're probably familiar with Cable.com that I acquired last year. I think it was last year by Google, right? Where you basically have like a contest where companies, data analytic companies, can work on data that is being provided by a company, and whatever they get out of the data, the best model gets money for that. That's just normal. This is also like in the marketplace, and of course underneath there is always a data lake. At one point in time, you can call it differently, but and this as of now with the amounts of data we're talking about requires dedicated resources, computer resources that scale quite fast.
So basically you've got the lake as the underlying capability, just storing data. You've got a set of functionality sharing, which you might call hub, or maybe hub's a broader term. And then you've got a marketplace, which is about monetization. And then you've maybe got a clearinghouse, which is about federating between various different parties who are trying to sell similar sorts of data. Maybe we get to a kind of understanding of the terminology that way. Something like that.
I like that, by the way, you introduced another term, broker.
Yes, okay.
That would be complete. We kind of observed that when people talk about an exchange, they do tend to mean an exchange. And often marketplace kind of implies one-to-many broadcast capability, whereas an exchange is many-to-many, and it's a different animal. We've conveying licenses, especially in real time, in both directions gets more complicated than unidirectionally. Monetization, there will probably be a day where there's the equivalent of digital bartering, and it will probably be the equivalent of auctioning. But we'll get into the whole issue of how do you ascribe value to the data. It's probably the toughest thing there is.
I mean, it is a big topic, and actually I think maybe we should jump into that one now, unless you've got a point to make on the previous one. Monetization. I mean, you mentioned about, you were talking about packaging up data and selling the data effectively as a single item. Now, it gets more complicated than that, presumably.
Yeah, absolutely, it gets more complicated. And if you think about where most solutions today and where we are, is that, and it goes to some of the definitions, exchange, public, we made that free, but because the counties, the county, cities, government agencies, their way in terms of paying for the data is basically a subscription for a platform as a service.
Yeah.
So that's how they would pay. But when you look at public offering of their data to someone to subscribe to that, to then create an additional service, we do enable a mechanism for two-sided marketing, show the marketplace as well as two-sided, where somebody can put a price and see a price and can see a bid.
Yeah.
And this is still early because people don't really know the value of the data. And I think the general rule that we look at is having the ability not only to publish data, but then ingest back in data that's been curated by learning, analytics, whatever. Our belief is that the more the data is curated, the more it's mixed with other sources, the more value it has. So a private entity can then offer that out to other services.
So there's effectively value-added data. You take a set of data from a marketplace, you do something with it, put it back into the marketplace. Yeah, it makes some sense. Ingo, so that was one perspective, was the price per data. You also presumably have models where you could push that aside and say, okay, well, you can have a overarching subscription where you can share the data as you see fit within a user group. Other models as well?
Well, to be quite honest, we're just experimenting regarding the price model and figure out what actually works. So the first thing that we do, we sell our own data, the one that I mentioned, the motion logic, so the motion data of our customers in an anonymized way. And what you figure out there, what we as economists call price discrimination, where you basically sell the same data set even to different users at different price points. So if we sell that, for instance, to McDonald's, where they want to open up a shop, they probably are willing and able to invest more money into it because they get more value out of it than selling it to a small shop owner who's just interested in where are my customers actually coming from, what areas in the city. So this is one element where you charge on a flat fee, so you get data for, let's say 1 month, and we charge like €10,000 and that's it. So for May 2018, you have the data. But I think what really emerged over time, and this is tied to the value-based pricing that we apply in consulting, we say we set up a sensor network and we will not charge at cost and at plus margin for the sensor network and operating sensor network, but we jointly figure out what's the value to the business for our clients. And if this is high, and we say, okay, we do the investment, but therefore we want to have, at least for a certain period of time, a fair share out of that. And this is just like getting part of the value of the data into our own books, which is perceived fair from the client's perspective. This is what we do, and it might be a large thing where the client never thought about what can be done based on data, and we actually get the data, and the willingness to pay is much higher. And this is where where someone needs to find a balance, because you have to do that in a very, very balanced way, in a fair way, and in a transparent way.
Absolutely. I mean, Dave, you've been tackling these kinds of issues around how the relative pricing points and how you work out who's going to trade at what level and so on. So share your experiences in that.
So we've kind of taken the problem space and broken it down into what I call the tripod that can hold this whole thing up. And I mean, as a whole industry. One is business stuff, which includes ascribing value, how you do those mechanisms. Another one is the legal part, which kind of bifurcates into licensing and conveyance, but it also includes regulatory, our favorite, GDPR, many other things that are going to come around the planet like it.
We'll get onto these regulatory issues.
And the third leg is the technology, and how can that enable these other two legs? One thing, so we did this really deep analysis, got some really smart people involved, and said, how do you assign pricing? So first of all, this is pretty amusing. If you go out to data providers, like a car company, they say, well, we have expensive cars, so we have expensive data. Okay.
Hard to argue with.
But you can't argue, but it's sort of like telling somebody their children are ugly. If I were being glib about it, I would say, well, actually, the barometric pressure readings from this model of your car come from a sensor made by a tier 1 supplier, and there's 3 makers of this sensor in the world, which means yours is the same as 5 other car makers. So, unless there's some magical thing where there's people lovingly, touching the sensor all the time, it's probably the same data that you get out of a different brand. The other thing is, so they think their data is worth a lot. The customers, as they are, and we're really at the tip of the iceberg on the use cases right now with this, they're used to data being pretty much free. We're all kind of in the consumer world. We pay for ads, ads pay for things. We have these blanket subscriptions, and we're all consumers, but we're also all business people or people in government. And that's a really tough thing to overcome, is this theory that why am I paying for the data? So what we've had to do is come up with a pretty complex set of algorithms that can price the data based on things like use cases that are not obvious things. So an example would be, let's say I'm taking LiDAR data from an upcoming autonomous vehicle that's capturing staggering amounts of data as it scans the streets. That data might be valuable to the delivery drone that's about to come around the corner at 50 kilometers per hour and is fed that data before the sensors even show up, and it can avoid things. On the other hand, that same data might be useful on a large scale to a hedge fund manager trying to come up with proxies for global commerce or something like that. And you can imagine the drone doesn't have a lot of money on it. It's just one drone doing one mission, whereas a hedge fund manager might be making a $200 million decision based on that exact same data. So, and this is really complicated stuff, but using AI, it's possible to start factoring for the use cases. And we have to literally train people that this data it has intrinsic value and that the monetary value can be ascribed essentially in an automated way. We've learned that letting the data providers set their own prices is really not scalable and they're usually wrong. And the idea of auctioning it is a bit of a disaster because, again, I think it's worth infinity, the other guy thinks it's worth zero. We may get to an auctioning world, probably not anytime soon. It'll be done by intelligence.
Yes, just a quick point. I agree with that. You can't let someone just set the price. It's a fixed price. But I think what you call discretionary pricing is what I would call price discovery. If basically a seller of data sees historically, it sees the historic data, we just set it up and they see what was bid, and the buyer sees what's been sold, you have a much faster market mechanism to converge to a price, maybe not the long-term price, but to a price.
Yeah. Okay. Moving quickly on. Architecture models. Okay. So one of the debates that I've had with various people is, do you have a centralized function or do you have a distributed function? The concept of a hub, I'll come to you first. The concept of a hub is you centralize in decentralization in center. But that's not the approach that T-Systems has taken, right? The concept is that it's much more distributed. So how did you come to that view?
Sure, you're right. It all stemmed from the discussion that we initially had whether we wanted to go for some like this maybe typically German thing to start with an ontology because we've got this great history of philosophers and metaphysics and so on and so forth. So we had that, but this was over during the morning's time. Now, we said it's not going to work if you start developing that kind of centralized concept, be it an ontology or architecture, whatever, but it's rather building that up on a more like vertical is a big word in that case too, but we let it just grow. But what we do basically, we will start at one point in time, now it's too early to start confederating, and I assume that AI will help us as well here, not only on understanding the data, but also understanding the metadata. And they were figuring out through high correlation that what company X calls temperature might be something which is pretty similar to what another company from a French country, from France calls temperature. And so that should work out, be the pretty same concept, right? And this is how artificial intelligence will help understand not the exact data, but also the data model and help develop it over time. And this will be somewhat, will then might maybe lead to a more generic ontology on top of it, but we didn't start it with a big picture in the first place. Now, in terms of distributing the access to that and the usage of the data and stuff, we actually decided to encourage smaller groups of companies to take their own share of the territory in the data internet stuff where they can act as if they're the only one in the world sharing the data. And at one point in time, we might come up with a feature that basically tells, okay, there's this group of companies that generates data and exchanges data that might be interesting to other groups in their territory, the wider territory, and then this kind of exchange might also happen. And again, lead to a more centralized or holistic view of the data. But for the time being, if you want to do it holistic, I think that's the path for screwing it up.
Jim?
Yeah, if I could, I'd break that up into two different issues from an architecture structure. So the one is, what does the data look like from an ontology standpoint? And then what does it look like in terms of distributed from a hub to a hub or to an edge? So we built off the one M2M standard because it's a low-level architecture here, because it allows the concept of talking to a service enablement function. Forget the acronym, but it's this main hub to be able to talk to other ones create a more distributed network, right? And then even its edge capability at a gateway level mirrors the CSD function locally, whatever you program it to do locally. So for data coming off a car, you can collect most of that, and it's distributed back to other edge nodes or to your main function. So that, from an architecture standpoint, can be one for a major regional area in terms of the service enablement and multiple edge components, or it can be several and then distributed from there. So that's one concept in terms of how you can get scale and be distributed. The other one, which is very important, is, and this is where I think where we suffer in terms of building out these platforms, is what is the ontology in terms of a common ontology, so that it's very easy for people and developers to build applications. So I'll give you the examples just in the smart city space. There's a couple of ones. We'll offer the data just strictly for the 110 API. A little more difficult to use, but you can build fiber on top of that, and they've standardized an ontology and just build an adapter to go from this to this. And then we've built it also that it can support the SCCIM and the CIS, the acronym ISPA. So the thing is you have to basically be extensible this way and then extensible that way. So it's two different things, but it both goes to the things that are necessary to provide real scale.
Okay. That makes some sense. But there is the implication you need a general data ontology that is imposed on everybody who's collecting data, just so you have that common understanding. Okay, if I'm talking about how deep the rain water is in wherever, do you need a common understanding of that's a relatively easy one, because there's there are metrics, but how many cars are passing a point, how much, whatever. Is that something that can be imposed from above, or can you sort of use the generated?
Both. So you can, the above is the standards-based agreements in terms of ontology, and there'll be several. And I just gave examples for transport, so there'll be many others in industrial and others. From the bottom up, what you can do is build, because most of the sensor types or legacy systems either have their own APIs or their own formats, and then you basically have to build adapters and or integrate those APIs into that middleware framework. So there is an element of it both on top and the bottom, from my perspective.
Because this is important, because you need to know what data it is that you're buying, and different organisations are likely to be providing the same sets of data. So you need to be able to compare and contrast and know that what you're getting is the same stuff. We know that something is of a higher value. Terbine's done a fair amount of work on that in that space, if I remember correctly, in terms of trying to impose some order on this crazy data world that we're talking about.
Yes. So we did something kind of unusual for a startup company. We actually analyzed what I call the systems that run the world before we designed the thing. So what are the systems that run the world? Well, if you're in Silicon Valley, they're obviously Facebook and Google, but it turns out, or don't forget Twitter, but we mean the systems that if they went offline for any period of time, it would deeply affect civilization. So they are global telecommunications, they are air traffic control, and intermodal containerized shipping. So we looked at those three and tried to figure out, why did they scale so well? Why do they barely change their schema for all these decades? And most importantly, why isn't anybody really trying to replace those things wholesale? I'm not talking about the 5G migration, I'm talking about the overall idea of it. So what they all had in common was something tantamount to a control layer. So in telephony, you have Sibling System 7. There's this whole sort of manifest carriage thing that is done in intermodal containerized shipping. Air traffic control, of course, has a system. And what they all have in common is none of it dictates the payload. Nothing in the signaling system of telephony, says I can only use my phone to call you about breakfast. It's independent of the payload. The same with containers. The same with air traffic control. So we said, well, that's part one. If you look at it from an IT standpoint, you're going to be really tempted to go down to the NAS definition of file types. The other thing is, go forward and think about AI. Not AI running these systems, AI asking the questions, and at very high performance levels going forward. So we decided to start working on a common mode metadata specification for machine-generated data, not necessarily just IoT. We're now in the process of, we're probably going to have one of the big standards bodies. We're going to throw that in there and start a standards collaboration. Certainly, that can never work with one vendor. I was very involved with setting the standards for email that we all used. And a bit painful, but once everybody collaborates and decides, then you all know where you stand. But I want to mention, most importantly, is that it's not just about metadata and ontologies. The new thing you have to worry about in the world of AI is the taxonomy.
Yeah.
So you guys are bringing up something like this. If I say to us, boy, that traffic's really bad up there, there was a lot of traffic. We all get what that means, we all have our own idea. I would say Barcelona, there's a lot of traffic, for example. Everybody would say, yes. Says the guy from Los Angeles, by the way. And, but an AI would say, I don't know what that means, what's the traffic? If I say, well, vehicular counts, vectors, and velocities, the AI would say, I get that. So we've been working really hard on a taxonomy that brings these definitions down to very high resolution. So when I say, water, everybody knows what water means. When we say level, flow, things like that. Instead of saying what's the wind speed, it's what's the air velocity. That is really going to be vital as we move into this highly automated world.
I'm going to ask a question that's coming through the one of this sort of panel that I've got in front of me. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this one already, but we can talk about it in the context of regulation and privacy and all of those good things. The question is, does the panel anticipate this becoming a consumer product for individuals to monetize their data? Jim, do you want to start that? Probably not one you're that interested in, but
I'll take a stab at it. I would think that they will want to, but when you think about consumer markets, it's very different from industrial, transport, and other markets where service providers charge a recurring fee for service provided. The model is very different. People buy consumer products at one-time pricing, and the service is embedded in that cost of the product, and monetization, just the way Google or Facebook monetize a phone book in an annuity way. You get a smartphone, $20, $30, $40 a year. It's pretty hard to get the data as this amorphous mass of people to fight back and get it. I think it's a great idea, but I think this would have to be more a regulatory solution as opposed to a market-driven solution.
Good. You're focusing on
I think it's really, for sure the perspective that the companies have is quite different from the perspective of consumers. Now, nevertheless, what we do, we also, this is more like a B2B thing. We are offering this kind of data intelligence hub also to those providers that build apps, that have their SDKs together consumer data. My suspicion would be if you really ask the consumer, the end consumer, and then the provider of that kind of data to actually take care of monetizing the data, however easy it will be. If you do that at a large scale across all the apps, most of the people that I know that if they really knew what kind of data they would provide, they do provide it on a daily basis because you need to do that in order to monetize it in the first place. So they would probably shy away and would never touch again their smartphone.
Yeah,
so it's a bit stuck between rock and a hard place when it comes to monetizing that kind of data.
Okay, I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to move on to the next topic, which is around verticals. We haven't really talked about which verticals do we anticipate seeing the greatest take up in this, and why, I guess, is the question. David, let's start with something at the end. Which verticals are you anticipating having the biggest traction these kinds of data exchange, data clearing houses, and call it what we will?
Well, according to a firm, I believe it's called Gartner,
shame me.
The preponderance of machine-generated data right now, if you take all the factory, inside of the factory environment, things out of the equation is definitely from things that move. So it's going to be transportation, and it would also throw in agriculture, aircraft, things like that. So, and because people are starting to realize that electrification and eventually automation of vehicles of all types is going to demand data sharing, a very fundamental shift to data sharing, and the idea of it between municipal infrastructure, wide area infrastructure, the electrical companies, which in over 100 years have never had to share data with the people who make cars and trucks or operate them. We've only had to deal with electricity to run trams and high-speed trains. This is a chronic thing that's coming like a train. And so I think everybody's doing a lot of work in transportation, but I contend, because there's evidence from other things before this, that the real power is going to be cross-sector. You know, for example, the electrical guys talking to the city guys, talking to the automotive and trucking guys. There's going to be, in supply chain and logistics alone, there's going to be a lot of desire for people that operate the big ships to talk to the people that operate the trains and the trucks at a level they haven't before. And, you know, it's the cross-sector that's probably the most powerful.
So, transportation, logistics, utilities, I'm hearing.
Agriculture as well.
Agriculture, for sure.
Anywhere where you don't need to keep your data as a private cloud, there's less value to a marketplace. So industrials typically wouldn't want to share that data publicly with their competitors.
But they don't necessarily need to. I mean,
If they can, but it's, you know, they can basically say when they're off, you can glean insights from that data. They're offline, you know, production's down, you know, that kind of thing. So.
yeah, okay. Because my contention was always that actually this stuff will materialise first in smart cities, because there probably isn't a commercial relationship that needs to be developed. You are making available a set of data which will improve people's lives, and so you know, there's no particular challenge for a public transport agency in making data available about where the trains are and when they're likely to arrive at the platform. So I always felt that it would emerge first in smart cities. I don't know whether.
Well, we agree, that's our focus. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
That's where it's happened. But in the case of T-Systems, I mean, the focus there has been much more on the industrial side of things. I'm like, what
To some extent, the industrial side, but our focus actually is on logistics. As you said, this is and for two reasons actually. First of all, there's a lot of value added through that by just documenting and making sure that throughout the entire process of delivering something from A to B, you're compliant to whatever standard you need to comply to. On the other hand, it's cross-sector, right? Because you're carrying something from an industry A to an industry B, where they basically use it as a supply. So, and this is where all this interrelates, and we believe that the logistics will be functions and companies will be a major driver of the adoption of things like the data intelligence hub across the industry.
Because that's where different companies
Yes.
need to start sharing data is across the supply chain. That's the starting point. Okay, during my intro, I talked about IoT, but this isn't specific to IoT, right? This is, you all mentioned at some point integrating IoT data with other data sets. Well, how does IoT change the landscape? What's different about IoT data compared to all the other data sets that have been shared and exchanged using EDI or for things like Sabre or so on? Special about IoT?
I'll give a quick example because the information is developed by people, devices, sensors, and from that it's a massive multi-point to multi-point implementation where EDI is part of a CRM system, is a database and a query and a language between them. It's not collecting. It can collect data relative to that chain, but supply chain, but it doesn't have that ability to scale and grow beyond that. Sabre, the same thing. You're accessing the database of what planes are doing. You're not at the time accessing the sensor information from the planes that do that. If you did, then that to me is then it goes from the supply chain management or broker selling platform to being an IoT based one. So.
Any other views?
mean, the IT thing, at least when we talk to the clients, a lot of situations where they figure out that it enables new business model. This sort of starts the fantasy of managers, things that they never thought about before, because they basically grew up, if you will, with the data generated by their own people, right? But this is different here, where you get at some point in time, machines start talking to you, right? They reveal their inner secrets, and this is why this is sort of spurred, and it's a massive amount of data. I mean, that is available right now, and this is related to the fact that there is IoT.
Final question, because the clock's running down. What we're talking about here is more of a network of data hubs, right? There will be interconnection between the products and offerings that you three companies and a bunch of other companies have. What needs to happen in the industry to make that happen? Do we expect that to happen? Do we expect there will be some default standards for which hubs emerge in which vertical sectors and others in other sectors? How do you think the interrelationship between these various entities might be to
Not one standard, maybe multiple standards for each of those kind of things, but definitely has to converge to a handful of standards for each of those, or you can't scale that kind of implementation. It doesn't need to be one, but several that can be easily supported by organizations that want to plug into that data and integrate it further.
Yeah, same here. There will be industry-specific standards, I would assume, at least midterm. And the translation from one to the other should be much easier than asking Google Translate to put something from English into Mandarin and so on. But this already works today. And the only thing that concerns me is we've been done quite some work in the logistics business most recently, and even as of today, Edifact, I think everyone knows Edifact, right? I heard about it even when I was at university. It's not yet something that is fully automated, right? A lot of companies have people sitting out there doing manual translation from one Edifact document to another and screwing it up all the time. So it will take some time, even with the support of massive compute power, to have that interrelationship there. It will be, I wouldn't call it silos, but there will be sub-regions of data models.
Around subnets of things, which is something that we used to talk about quite a lot. Yeah. David, I'll give the last word to you.
Sure. Well, we really think this is like the early days of e-commerce, where there's lots of these things that created, but eventually it'll settle down. There will only be a few large players on a global basis. And we're certainly going to be those guys.
All right. Best of luck. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Round of applause for my panel. Thank you all for coming.